Hey everybody, I'm Sean Robinson.
I'm Carson Grubaugh. Welcome to Living the Line. And today we have basically the coolest bit of news that I've ever received in my life. I've had a lot of good news in my life, but I've been running around excited about this one in a way I never have been. And even Tori's making fun of me for it. So, Sean, I'll give you the pleasure of announcing the news officially.
Yeah, we're very pleased to find out that Strange Death of Alex Raymond has been nominated for an Eisner Award in the category of Best Reality-Based Work, and very much deserving. I was really obviously blown away by Dave's work on this book and blown away by Carson's work, and just really is moving to me to see, you guys get some recognition, and specifically like Dave get some small fraction of the recognition he's deserved as a founding father of self-publishing movement in North America. And, in my estimation, possibly the greatest living cartoonist in North America. It just really meant a lot to me to see him get this nomination nod. And so Carson, you feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, like I said, there was all three of us. I mean, everyone involved. This was a labor of love. I mean, it's Dave's labor of love first and foremost, and then you and I inherited it and put everything we had into it. And to have that like legitimized by the recognition of, I've been calling my like family and stuff and being like, they're like, oh, that's cool. What's that? And I'm like, it's like if you got an Oscar, but like for comic books. And being able to like tell my family, who has kind of been behind me since I was like 7, is when I was like, hey, I'm going to be a comic artist, that their support and like they were always behind that. Like, it's kind of just, I don't know, it's like another beyond bucket list. Like working with Dave was like a beyond bucket list, something you never even dream of type of thing. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I have to say that, for as much as people kind of give them heat sometimes, I think that the nominations, just looking at the list, I mean, it's stunning. They had 65 different publishers were represented in the nominees, different publishers. I
Yeah.
mean, they just really, I think went out of their way to find things that were kind of extraordinary or, interesting or representative or whatever it is, in a wide variety of places. I don't think that they're looking in the same places, consistently. And, I see some people quibble about certain categories, and, it would be nice if like the Asian translation category was a little broader
Yeah.
than Chainsaw Man part 1 through 6.
There's going to be a really cool Asian translation coming out soon that hopefully next year will get some attention.
Well, I mean, for me, like a book like Red Flowers, by Suge, I mean, that's just should have been a shoe-in for that category. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just historically important, artistically important, fascinating book that you could argue over for a long time. And it's not there. That's a little weird. But caveats aside, sorry, not to jump on a hobby horse. I mean, I think that they did, it's really great that they hit so many different publishers and had representation of so many different types of books. And it's a
Well,
good
what
sign
a
for
hell of a
comics.
job.
Really. Yeah, it's a thankless job too, because nobody ever, really, the only people who are all like 100% on board are the people who just got a nomination, right?
Sure. Yeah, woo, go Eisner board. You liked our book. But I mean, they're getting like God knows how many books, and I'm sure they have to, like, to do their job right, they got to read them and really give them consideration. So that we made it through that gamut is pretty wild. And I mean, I hope that beyond like Dave getting his accolades, like it's also understand like this is a win for you and living the line. And
Mm.
you brought this book to the market when it was going to disappear, and you brought it to the market looking better than anything else that's out there. So to me, it's like a way cool win for all of us. I know your art's not on the page, but I think of it as a 3-man project. It's Dave's book first, and then I kind of got
Right.
like, oh well, I got to finish it. And but I feel like we all have lived with this book for a long time.
Yeah,
And
I snuck a few things in there. Some of the hand lettered titles are me imitating Dave. I did a few lines on a blouse on one of your pages.
yeah.
Uh, Peanuts at the end, but yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, I appreciate you're very generous with the credit, but the thing that I just really, I'm glad to see that people are enjoying the book and really getting something significant out of it. And even if the only thing that you picked out of the book was that there were these amazing artists who went before, whose stuff is not fantastically represented in print. Those giants are, their stuff still has resonance and still has meaning and still has something worthwhile to be seen. And so I think that, like, it's also sort of a win for you know looking back at newspaper comic history and integrating that into the practices of today, even
Yeah.
if none of us can draw like those guys. Because
Well, that's like I think there's 3 or 4 things that when we decided, okay, we're gonna finish this and do this, there's like a few things that I was hopeful for. One is a reconsideration of Dave's career and Cerebus, and like getting an Eisner nod on it is like has to help with that. Um, Two is like, yeah, I'll relook at those old cartoonists and rebirth of interest in the style, which is what Dave did for me on Glamour Puss that sucked me into working on this project in the first place. I think, like, I overlooked those artists because of the poor reproduction, and being able to see it like this, even though we recreated it. So it's like, this is a poorer version still, but it's closer. It gives you an idea. I would love to see a rebirth of like us, not that it dominates, but that there's a bunch of people that come up in the next 10 years that like pick that lineage back up and take it to the next level. And then, like, I do think it's a book that by its nature, because it is like kind of in this literary criticism
Mhm.
genre almost. I know Dave hates that stuff, but he kind of operates that way in this book. I really think this book could open up like more historical academic work about those cartoonists, and Margaret Mitchell. I think
Right.
Dave and all of the kind of what people are saying is crazy. There's some legitimate nuggets of interesting things to be
Oh, yeah.
thought of. And
I
but I
mean,
would love to. Sorry, go ahead.
oh, just to take one example, I mean, who knew before reading this book that Ward Green, the person who wrote Lady and the Tramp, was a Satanist? This is real.
Yeah,
This is not
and
some invented thing. I
knew
mean,
Margaret Mitchell, and
right,
the evidence for blackmail is
is
like
extremely good.
pretty legitimate evidence. Yeah, and some of it couldn't be reprinted because we couldn't reprint the letters. So that stuff may sound like crazy conspiracy theory, but the evidence for that stuff is good. The metaphysical thing is, that's just if you believe in that or not.
Extrapolations, yeah.
But I think it opens up a lot of, if people take it seriously, which they should, at least go, if you think it's crazy conspiracy theory stuff, go, these things are on archives at universities.
Mhm.
There are thesis papers in this. And then I would also love to see like literary criticism applied to Strange Death, because I think it's a book, Rob Soglowitz called it like Finnegan's Wake. I don't know that it's that exactly, but I do think it's the kind of book that if it underwent like intense academic microscopic kind of interpretation, we would get a lot of interesting discussion. And I think that could then wrap back into the first thing, which is like reassessment of Dave's work, because I've been involved in academia a lot, and I've been to the academic comic stuff, and I'm always like, a lot of these people haven't even read Cerebus. Like, this is crazy. Like, you're comics formalists and you're not talking about this, or you're like comics as literature people, and you're not talking about one of the greatest attempts to do that, and one of the most troubled, like, like, how do I want to put it, like where the problems within the work make the work more compelling, which is
Right.
exactly like the kind of thing that you would want to be talking about in those circumstances, I think. So
Mhm.
if one or two or all of those things come out of this, like, that would be the coolest thing ever.
And let me just say from a selfish perspective that I have been looking at samples of this since I started working from Dave with Dave in 2014, maybe late 2013. Anyway, and I have been tremendously influenced just by seeing his layouts,
Mhm.
and it felt kind of cruel to deprive people of that. You know, he really does some rather extraordinary things with a narrator who's right there in front of you. I remember working on this comic a couple years ago. I think I did it 4 years ago now for a client where they wanted to directly address the audience, and I remember just thinking how easy it was for me because I had read 180 pages of Dave's Strange Death work to know how the different ways that you can interact with an audience as a narrator who you can actually see, and you know, it's like almost cruel to deprive the world of that influence. You know, like he's just incredible innovator from a page communication perspective.
Yeah, I guess that could be like a fifth thing that could really, I hope, come out of this. Not just the style of the art, but Dave really created a potential. There's been a couple other like really great academic graphic novels like Understanding Comics, and then I would say Nick Susanis's
Right.
Unflattening,
Yeah.
and he's coming out with a sequel to that. I don't know when, because he's so insane with like how much work he puts into it. Um, but and I guess you kind of have like reported comics like Palestine and stuff by Joe Sacco, but
Mhm.
I really think this opens up the historian, comic artist as art historian, or just historian in general, in a different way than I've seen it before. Like a lot of people will go research the story, kind of like Alan Moore, and then like tell it. Or I'm thinking of I don't know. There's a lot of stuff like that, right? Like like the category that we're in, the reality based work. There's the history of the Black Panthers and stuff. But I think Dave's way of doing it is more purely like showing the research materials on the page. Like
Mhm.
he's opening up a more, because he's such a good comic artist, he's such a compelling formalist. He's showing the way to do history in comics the right way, like at peak. It's the peak history. Now you could say what you want about his other suppositions, but the contribution to the form, I think, I would hope, you know, can show what could be done with comics as academic production. I'm not claiming Strange Death is academic production. I think there's
Yeah.
too much speculation in it, but yeah, I think it's a potential for a whole new genre, and that would be
Yeah.
cool.
The nearest I can think of in terms of similar work would be like the essay films of Orson Welles. If you watch F for Fake, that has a lot of similarities to me, where Orson himself is there in front of you, and he's telling you what he's going to do. And the first scene of the film is his girlfriend at the time, basically half naked, walking around him while he's dressed as a magician, and he tells you he's going to do a magic trick, and he says everything I tell you from this point on is going to be a lie, and he does this trick in front of you, and then you go on to the next section of it. But he says something along the lines of you're going to forget about it, and the entire film is like sleight of hand, and he'll slide from one thing to the other. Anyway, the way that he directly addresses the camera while he's doing it, and some of the formal things have relationships to this, but like that's really like film and comics. I mean, you know, you're talking about something totally different, but like the something about the way that the relationship between the speculation and the research and the way that he presents primary sources, where he'll have a primary interview with somebody, but then he'll like insert himself into the interview
Yeah.
after the fact. Those are the things that gave me some I don't know, friction, not friction, reminded me of Strange Death in certain ways.
Well,
Anyway,
when
we're getting
people have
totally off
said,
topic.
yeah, but people have said it's like a weird combination of like Understanding Comics and From Hell. it's kind of like the research aspect of From Hell, but the presentation style of understanding comics. Because like From Hell is like, let's put all the notes in the background and let's admit that it's it's a made up narrative, but it has this heavy research. Here it's like using that more show and tell style of understanding comics to show you the research as it's going. And that's, it also has the weird metaphysical murder mystery aspect of From Hell. But I think stylistically, it's like bringing the academic nature of understanding comics and that type of academic presentation style with the research. And that feels like something, not that I've never seen it, but he's doing it in a way that's like peak that no one else has ever reached, and that can set the standard. And it was a hell of an honor to get handed the responsibility on that. So we're just super excited to announce this. And for all of you who have, I know a lot of people have been supporting us like for the last, way before this book even was talked about coming out. A lot of people have been supporting me and Sean, and then all through the Kickstarter, helping make sure it got printed, and then rolling that over into supporting the YouTube channel and just all of that. It's like a team win in my mind. It's a team win for my parents. It's a team win for me, you, and Dave. It's a team win for all of our supporters. So we couldn't be grateful enough. We couldn't thank the nominating committee enough. From here on out, it's a popularity contest. So to me, the nomination is like the coolest thing, because that's like the board of experts that are putting the stamp of Eisner worthiness on it. And then now we just have to be crass and be like, it's a popularity contest. So if you're a comics professional, you can vote, and you can help us make all of these goals and dreams for the book come true by signing up.
And register right now.
We'll put the link down there to go register.
We will. Okay.
Yeah, we'll put the link underneath the video. And what is that? That's like librarians, shop owners.
Yeah.
I mean, comics professionals, not just artists and writers.
No, anybody who works on the tech or design side. I don't know. I don't know if you work at like the office or something, if you qualify. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at that. But
retailers and stuff, definitely. Retailers, librarians, any of that. So if you're any of those and you want to continue to show amazing support for us,
we're not above asking for it. We've just talked about our own book for half an hour, so obviously. And really the incentive will be, since Dave has decided not to go to Comic-Con, Sean and I will be the representatives of the book, which is unfortunate. I wish he would go. I mean, I know he says this is Carson's version of the book. It makes sense. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't leave. Dave is happy doing the things that he's doing and making comics, which means having the time to make comics. Which, that's what he's doing.
But that means if we drum up enough, this is another incentive for people to go vote, then you'll get footage of me and Sean figuring out how the hell to make an acceptance speech. So another incentive to go vote, because then you could watch the shit show that will be. An 8-hour long.
If anybody's planning on going to Comic-Con this year, we're going to be hanging around looking for something to do. So we'll be happy to say hi to you guys and meet some of you in person. And so that's the plan. So.
And if you have a misprint and you can find me, I'll do not an elaborate one, but I'll do a quick Blue Meanie sketch in it.
Excellent.
All right.
Well, thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for all your support and everything like that. And we really do appreciate it. And I'm really pleased to hear this. And thanks.
Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.